Thank you so much for joining me for another aha moment with Joanie. And I'd like to start this one with a true story. So last Sunday, as you recall, I think pretty much all over the world, it's been exceedingly hot. And where I live, probably for the last week, it's been above 100 degrees. And where I live is in that gray area between the end of civilization and where the wildlife and wilderness starts. And because it's been so dry, the animals really come down because they are looking for food, they're looking for water. So Sunday, and I've lived here for decades, and Sunday, as I'm preparing a weekly insight, I look out, and coming into my yard is this bear. Never in my life have I really ever seen a bear up close. Last year, I went to Haines, Alaska, spent $300 to go on a river cruise, and the only thing I saw was this bear that was like 1,000 yards away going in the opposite direction. But this was a bear coming directly toward my swimming pool. He gets in my swimming pool and very carefully walks down the steps in the shallow end and sits down on the steps. So I come out of my breakfast room door, and I don't get very far. I'm just right there. And I say in a very ownerly, proprietary way that you cannot be in my pool. You're going to have to leave. This is my pool and you cannot be in it. So like a dog, in the very beginning, he just kind of turned his head so he didn't have to acknowledge that he was hearing me. Then I got a little louder and said, no, you cannot be in this pool and you have to get out, and you have to get out now. Then I went into the house and I closed the door. The minute I closed the door, he got up and he left. So why am I telling you this story? Besides, it's a really funny story, and I've lived here for decades, and it's the only bear that I'm aware of that was swimming in my swimming pool, or at least sitting in it, is that because I said get out of my pool in a very calm but authoritative way, what we need to understand about wildlife is they have an extremely keen knowledge of territory and whose territory they were in. Now, in this situation, that bear knew he was in my territory, and so he left. So when you're out in nature and you are confronting a wild animal in their space, that's what's dangerous. And you have to be very conscious that you are invading their space and very carefully back up, never run, and never turn your back on a wild animal. So that's an interesting story in itself, but I want to make a point of it. I think one of the things that happens in our everyday life is that we lose understanding that people have an innate sense of their territory. Just imagine if you're on a freeway and you stop and the guy behind you doesn't stop and he barely touches your car. Most people will go flying out of their car in a rage. The reason they're in a rage is because that's their car. That's the extent and the periphery of what their space is. And this person has banged their car, which is part of their territory. So I would like us to think about being politer when we're in someone else's space. I think innately we do that if we go to someone's home and we've never been there before. We just don't throw our purse around. But I think we should think about it when we go into a business, that this is their space. And I think that will encourage all of us to be kinder and more polite when we're in someone else's territory. And until we meet again, remember every morning, look into your mirror, smile at yourself, and say, I am my own best friend, for I came into this world to be myself. For that I came. And thank you, and I look forward to you joining me for my next episodes.